What if I told you that you could have your biggest month ever without you going viral on Instagram or having to do a ton of IG lives or responding to everyone and anyone in your Instagram DMs? I have been doing something behind the scenes throughout the last 3 years that has led to my highest cash months, and it has nothing to do with Instagram. It has everything to do with my podcast, the one that you're listening to right now. Podcasting is a way that you can nurture and build relationships with your audience without you having to schedule a live, schedule a community call. Those things are amazing, and I do those to this day. However, podcasting is so underrated and no one's leveraging it, and everyone kind of quits on their podcasts. And what I've learned is when I put together the strategy that I'm going to teach you throughout this month inside of our podcast, when I do that, we have our highest cash months every time. And I don't even have to show up a lot on Instagram, which in my experience is a necessity, especially when you want to build a multi-million-dollar successful movement over a long period of time, because things change, the world shifts, and when you nurture and build real relationships with people, nothing can take that away. That is why Freedom Queen has had the success that it's had to this day, is because it's built upon real relationships with human beings, and there's a movement in place and recurring income, which is very different than how a lot of people operate their businesses, which is more like pirate ship style business. They're not really building deep relationships with their customers, which allows them to operate in the churn or burn model, which is not fun. So if you have a podcast, incredible. If you don't have one, it's so easy to set up. When I first launched my podcast, the reason it was launched is because my boyfriend got a podcast mic for Christmas, and we were living in the Dominican Republic at the time for a month. It was 2022, and Robbie said, I'm going to start a podcast. And I said, oh my gosh, that sounds so great. Like, how do you start this? And I just Googled and found an online service that would host my podcast, and I just started recording. And since then, my business has massively exploded. And in 2024, we've been doubling our podcast downloads without me even doing much. And I'm going to show you and give away all the secrets inside of the podcast. So if you're listening to this, you are literally unlocking gold in the month of July. As a reminder, we are doing the podcast challenge in the month of July. So whenever you get value out of these episodes, whenever your mind is blown, share them to your Instagram story, tag me, and every Friday in the month of July, I'm going to be coming in and giving a giveaway to the winner. And you can enter as many times as you want. Just share the episode to your IG stories. Make sure you tag me. And on Fridays, I will select the winner, and the prize is going to increase over time. And so remember, you can share the episodes as much as you want to your IG stories. The way that it's going to work is at the end, when I do the biggest giveaway, I'm going to take all the names from the entire month. So every single time that you entered to win by sharing it to your Instagram story, you get entered into the win the biggest prize at the end of this month. So you need to know that most podcasts fail because people quit on them. There's some crazy statistic. It's like majority of podcasts that are started, they don't actually get successful because they quit after like 5 episodes, or I think it's like 3 or 5 episodes, which in my opinion is insane, because that just tells me that the people really weren't building a real movement. Because if you're building a movement, you're in it for the long-term game. If you really believe about your work, it shouldn't be challenging to press record or press go on your iPhone. Even right now, at the time of recording this, I am recording from my iPhone in Thailand because I'm in Thailand for the summer and didn't bring our podcast mic, and that is okay. People overcomplicate the entire recording process and make it seem like they have to have the podcast studio and the podcast microphone and the headsets. Like, no, you just have to have passion, charisma, and a heart of service, and you're going to massively grow your podcast. In some countries, we rank like we're like ranking with Alex Hermosi for entrepreneurship. And all I do is create nurturing style content for my customers and I. Now, the way that most people nurture is they nurture, and actually, let's take a look at what that means. So, nurturing means that you're building a relationship with someone. When people are looking to scale their business, what happens is they might be really smart. They might even be great at making content, but the person on the other side of the screen doesn't feel connected to you. And so then what you try and do is you try and go and nurture like a mad woman. You host 500 million masterclasses because that's one to many, and you can get everybody on a Zoom. You're doing challenges, you're doing DMs, like you're telling people DM you a question and you'll answer it. You're doing Q&As, and it's like, those things are great, and I am all about like take action. Let's go for sure. However, podcasting is a way to nurture relationships with people and your audience without you having to have a back and forth constantly. Like many of you that listen to this, I get so many DMs saying, Bridge, I listen to your podcast all of the time. The reason nurturing works on the podcast is because when you're nurturing on the podcast, people are listening to your episodes in the car with their kids. I have been told so many times that by my clients that their kids listen to the episodes. They're going for walks, they're at the gym, they're in the shower, they're listening to you while they're cooking dinner. And I want you to think from a psychology standpoint, what does that do to the buyer's brain? What does that do from a sales psychology standpoint? What does that do? Well, it creates a more intimate relationship. And throughout this month, I'm going to be talking and giving ideas of different stories you can tell and different things that you can let your audience in on that I've done over the last 3 years that has dramatically increased my sales. But I want you to start thinking about this. Your customers are real humans on the other side of the screen. Like, hi, hello, real human right now listening to this. And they want to buy from you, but they want to build a relationship with you first. And doing it on your podcast is the best way to do it because you can just record on your iPhone, have the time of your life, and create this intimate space. And it also converts the best buyers. Because here's the thing. If somebody doesn't like your podcast, guess what? They can leave. And that's so cool. So it filters out the people that aren't good for you and allows the people that are the best buyers and my highest ticket buyers, my $25,000, $45,000 clients, mostly come from being a relationship is already built. They already know, like, and trust you. So what I want you to do is I want you to, number one, take your podcast out of like the cobwebs that it's been in. Give it a little refresh. Maybe you need to rebrand it. It doesn't need to take you a while, like 20 minutes in Canva. I want you to get it up and running. And if you don't have a podcast, you can just simply start one right from your iPhone. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. And throughout this month, I'm going to be talking about how to get so visible. So if you're excited about this challenge, share this podcast episode to your Instagram stories, tag me in it, and next Friday I'm going to select the winner of our first winner of the week of the entire podcast challenge. And anytime you get an episode and you're like, oh my gosh, I got so much value out of this, share it to your IG story, tag me, and you'll get entered to win. There's no limit to the amount of podcast episodes that you can share to your Instagram story. We'll be telling all of them. Okay, I love you. I'm so excited for this challenge together, and I will see you on the podcast.